Well, everyone, Apple went ahead and just dropped their Apple event on us right now. They did announce the M1 iPad Pros, so we're going to go ahead and do a quick little comparison between those and the iPad Pro 3rd generations from 2018. Now, I will be buying the M1 iPad Pro, fully comparing it just like how I do with all my other devices. First things first though, I will tell you, these M1 iPad Pros are a no-brainer to pick up if you currently don't own any iPad or you're trying to figure out which one is the better one. Obviously, the iPad Pro with the M1 chip is going to be the better one. I will tell you, I wouldn't necessarily be in a rush to upgrade an iPad Pro 3rd gen to the M1 because the M1 will still have a couple of software issues to fix, just like how my M1 MacBook Pro had a ton of software issues in the beginning with. So again, I wouldn't be in a rush, but regardless, it's still a worthwhile upgrade for sure. Now, design-wise, they are almost identically the same thing on the front. The 12.9-inch iPad Pro, the M1, does have a better display with the XDR display than the standard IPS one that we had on the iPad Pro 12.9-inch, the 3rd gen, so keep that in mind. But everything else on the front is the same. You do have a Thunderbolt port on the M1 iPad Pro, which is a pretty big difference. You can connect to a different display that supports Thunderbolt and all those other Thunderbolt accessories, where the iPad Pro 3rd gen didn't really have that, capability. On the back though, you do have that upgraded camera on the M1 iPad Pro, so keep that in mind. You only get that single camera setup on the iPad Pro 3rd gen, but you're also getting a much better front-facing camera on the M1 iPad Pro. It's a newer 12 megapixel ultra wide sensor, and this is a pretty big jump. I imagine you can do 4K videos on it or whatever, but they do have a lot more capability on that camera, which is really nice. And in this day and age, having more abilities on the front is definitely a worthwhile thing. The iPad Pro 3rd gen only had a 7 megapixel front-facing camera, which is still pretty good. You could do 4K at 60 on the back, but the front camera of the M1 iPad Pro is going to be a better option for sure. You also now get, and this is a pretty big one, a new 2TB option for storage on the M1 iPad Pro, or on the iPad Pro 3rd gen, you could only get up to 1TB, which is still a lot, I'm not gonna lie, but you did have more of an option. You do have more options for storage on the M1 iPad Pro than on the iPad Pro 3rd gen. On top of that, we are now getting 5G support for the M1 iPad Pro as well. So again, another pretty big improvement. Now, all the other changes are pretty much coming down to the performance. Because it does have that M1 iPad Pro chip, it's going to be a much better performing chipset. It's just going to be a much better performing device than the iPad Pro 3rd gen. So keep that in mind. As I always say, if you're trying to get the fastest device, the M1s are the best ways to go. I mean, they're just like a no-brainer. But I do think if you still own an iPad Pro 3rd gen, you're really not missing out on a crazy amount. It just depends, are you coming from the iPad Pro 3rd gen, or do you not have either one of these devices and you're trying to find one that you like more? If you're trying to find one that you like more, I'll probably say the M1 iPad Pro is the better way to go. But if you're trying to find the better value per dollar, the iPad Pro 3rd gen may be the better way to go for you. So that pretty much covers it up. That's kind of how I would say it. Again, I wouldn't be in a rush to upgrade, but if it's between these two, the M1 iPad Pro is definitely the better way to go for sure. If you guys have any other questions or anything like that, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. Every single subscriber that we get really does count, so it means so much if you guys can hit that. Also check out the other links down in the description as well. My Twitter, my Instagram, my other channels. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.